Money is Laurie Veasy from the NuMark Credit Union, Vice President of Lending. Welcome back here to WJOL, Laurie. It's always good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we're going to be talking about a subject I think that's very important to so many people, and that is how do we handle finances when something comes up that we didn't expect, something maybe almost catastrophic. It can happen in a lot of different ways. What kind of events would you consider to fall in that category, Laurie?
Oh, sickness, unemployment, if you had a car accident or any kind of accident, or maybe you're diagnosed with something.
Yeah, and when that happens, you're usually caught off guard. And insurance is a factor that can make things a little bit easier, but not everybody has the insurance they need for an event that they didn't anticipate. So when that occurs, what do we do besides panic?
Well, hopefully, and sometimes we have a little bit of savings, I always say, and I tell my kids this all the time, you have to be ready for plan A, B, and C, just in case you need them, right? Yes. So savings is always going to be important. And sometimes during times like this, during hardship and financial hardship times, it's harder to save. But, that 401k that you had stashed away, sometimes you got to go in there and get a little bit of that money. But it's just, I tell my kids who are grown, but always put a little bit to the side for a rainy day. Yeah.
And when you look at investments, too, the volatility of the market is an issue that has to be considered, too. If you look at what you have in your nest egg, and all of a sudden there's something happens and it goes away. Now, we speak about money. You've got a $25 Visa gift card that we're going to be giving away at the end of the show. But we don't give it away for nothing. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. All right, my friend. So here's what you do. You just need to listen to the show and what we talk about. And if you can correctly answer a question that we're going to answer here on the show, if you can correctly answer that, you'll have a $25 Visa gift card in your hands to put toward your nest egg. It's all about money. It's all about money. And so the first step, Laurie, let's talk about the first step in taking when something you didn't plan for occurs.
So here we were talking about earlier, I was talking to someone about my car. So I bought a car breaks down unexpectedly, and I'm unemployed. So this all happened last year. So thank God I had mechanical insurance coverage, and I didn't have to go into my pocket. So that's another thing I tell my kids, when you're buying a car, make sure your warranties are up to date and you are going to be able to be covered. Because who's got $1,000, $1,500? It feels like now things cost a lot more to get fixed than maybe they cost 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of critical that you make sure that your warranties and everything are up to date.
Is there a rule of thumb how much a couple should have in their nest egg?
So I say, and this is what I try to live by, I try to pay myself first. My top 10% off my check, I try to put up. Now, sometimes that works, and sometimes the kids aren't in my pockets and trying to get something from me, but if I put a number to it, I try to make sure that I'm paying me first, either through my 401k or through my savings account. I'm putting my money up.
Yeah, and don't spend money you don't have.
Oh, that is the cardinal rule. If you don't have it, don't buy it.
That's right. Gee, I like that idea. Let's see if we can do that. Now, this is you touched on this here, Laurie. This is an important question. This is important. When you get a better deal, what's the better deal for someone looking to buy a car, like you had mentioned? Is it a certified pre-owned or a new vehicle?
I've bought both. So, it depends on I'm blessed now that I work literally 7 minutes from my house. But my career, I've worked in Oak Brook, in Lombard, in Chicago. So what did I want out of my vehicle? Did I want a car already starting out with some miles on it? Or did I want to get me a car with no miles? So I think it's a personal preference. But in this day and age that we're in right now, interest rates going up, car loans a lot higher, you have to do your research. You have to decide what's going to be best for you and your family and base it off that. Right now, it's the beginning of the year. Maybe they didn't sell a lot of cars at the end of the year, so you're going to see a lot more clearance sales going on. So look for the better deal for you. Make sure that what you're buying is what you want to be in for the next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, however long you're going to finance the car for.
All right. So once again, it depends on your situation, whether it should be a certified pre-owned or a new vehicle.
Yes. For me, I buy my cars brand new. Now, when I was younger and didn't have maybe as much to put down, I looked at the pre-owned because you could get a good bargain with those. Sometimes they had the dealer car that only had a max of 5,000 miles on it. So it just, again, depends on what you're looking for and what your pocketbook says you can afford, too.
That's exactly right. Exactly. Now, you're the Vice President of Lending for NuMark Credit Union. And what are the products? Let's take a look at, you've got money that right now you don't have to use for a hardship, but you have some money available. What would the recommendations be on how to use that money in the best way?
Well, we do have CD specials going on right now, so maybe you want to put your money in the bank and let it make a little bit of money for you. You can stop by any of the branches and come and talk to one of our financial service reps. Saving, again, maybe you're putting it up because you want to be ready for anything that may happen. My daughter got married about 2 years ago now, and so we always say, oh, you're going to have this big, beautiful wedding, but who's going to pay for it?
Yeah.
So what are you saving your money towards,
Are there any recommendations that maybe the amount of money that is spent on a wedding can be curtailed in some other fashion where you don't have to spend $10,000 on a wedding?
So we didn't have to spend that much money because, again, we shopped around for the better deal in the banquet facilities, and we were able to get a deal where the package included everything. Sometimes you don't want to leave your money on the table where all the people are just eating the money up because it's all invested in the food.
Yeah.
So, again, a smart shopper is a good shopper.
Now, in the CD market, what are the current rates?
Oh, I don't have rates in front of me. I'm sorry.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. But you can call your NuMark location to get the rates. But it might also be, while you think that the rates are not what they should be for an investment, they're stable.
Exactly.
They're stable.
Exactly.
Investments in other areas, are potentially more risky.
And this is going to be consistent.
Right.
Your money's going to sit and it's going to grow for you.
Are there any other products that are available to a person who wants to get ahead of the game here?
So when you're buying your car, we can talk about our car again. One of the things that I always, when I first started buying cars, I never bought gap insurance, right? And then I had bought a car for my daughter. She had an accident within the first 45 days of owning this car. It was a hit and run. People left the scene. And I didn't have gap insurance for that car because at that time I just really didn't think about it. Well, gap insurance is just what it is. It's going to cover the gap between how much you paid for the car and what it is to pay the car off. I will never leave a dealership again without gap insurance. While I didn't have to pay any money for that particular accident, it could have been different. And with the gap insurance that we offer, they also give you money for a new down payment for your car if your car is totaled out.
That's a big deal.
That is a very big deal.
Truly a big deal. So again, whether you're buying a certified pre-owned or a new vehicle right off of the lot, that would apply to any vehicle that you choose to purchase. But it seems like, again, the vehicle to purchase would be consistent with what you are able to afford and the trust you have in the dealer selling that vehicle to stand behind it.
Exactly. So, and remember, don't spend more than you can afford.
Yeah. In addition to that, what do you think about the idea of having a plan? I mean, to actually sit down and write a plan, take a look at your total finances, what you have as liquid assets that you have access to, and start not to be pessimistic, but to be optimistic that you have enough to cover an event that you didn't plan for.
Exactly. So it's called budgeting and writing down what you want your future to look like, right? So my husband and I do this all the time because I can be a bit of a spender when I get into the stores, and he can also be a bit of a, no, that's not what we're here for today. So it's always good to write your plan down and see your vision. Research, when you're talking about cars, research rebates and what does the dealer have to offer to you. Make sure that you have saved the down payment. So if you're going in to buy a car and you're thinking about, what am I going to do? How much do you really want to spend, and how much can you invest in it? So writing that plan out and making sure that you have what you need to get to where you're trying to go is, I think, one of the most important things.
Absolutely. This is the Money Talk Radio Show. Our guest is Laurie Veasy, NuMark Credit Union's Vice President of Lending. And when we come back, Laurie, let's talk a little bit more about that budget process, because that's so important for people to really grasp and to actually do something with. So we'll talk about that coming up in just a few moments.
Hey.
And this is the Money Talk Radio Show, sponsored by NuMark Credit Union. Laurie Veasy, the NuMark Credit Union Vice President of Lending, is our guest. And we're offering a $25 Visa gift card at the end of the show if you can correctly answer one of the questions from the show. And we'll give you an opportunity to take that $25 gift card by giving us the right answer. Ooh, the pressure is on. The pressure is on. Now, the products that NuMark offers here at Laurie, are something that people need to consider. But we were talking about the budget, and a young couple, let's say a young couple is looking at getting a budget started. What would you say the first process is to cause that to happen?
Definitely writing down all of your bills, right? So you've got 3 credit cards, you've got 2 car notes. He has a car, she's got a car. I include my electric, my gas. So anything that I pay out that comes out of our paychecks, I write that down. And at the end of the day, I want what I have left to exceed what I'm paying out.
Yeah.
Okay. With groceries being as extremely high as they are, you budget a little bit higher with that involved also. So, and then you make sure that you've got a little bit left over for cars that break down, your different insurances that you're paying for. So making sure that you're putting every single item that you're paying out within that budget gives you an idea of what you're going to have left over.
Yeah. Now, we talked a lot about the cars and the idea that do you get a better deal with the pre-owned, or do you get a better deal with a new vehicle? And it really depends on you as the individual. You have to look at your own finances. Now, once you do purchase a car, whether it's pre-owned or if it's brand new, you talked about gap insurance, the Gap Plus. Now, NuMark offers that. So talk about what is the cost for that versus what the potential cost to not have it would be.
Again, it's like I said, my own personal experience. So the Gap insurance is $399, right? And you finance that into your loan amount. Really, it's peanuts compared to if you were actually going to have if an accident actually happened. And they were able to. And not only that, but you also get money for the down payment for your new car that you're purchasing. So they're going to give you $2,500 towards purchasing your new car if you buy a new car and come back with us. So that right there is a savings in itself. You paid $399 and then you get this. How can you go wrong?
Yeah.
One of the other things that I've always purchased when I buy a car is what's called mechanical repair coverage, you know. So again, in these times that we're living in, if you don't have money in your drawer to fix your car, how are you going to get it back on the streets getting it running? So you have to be prepared for any of these little incidents that may come up. These items are financed into your loan amount, and it's really not something that's coming out of your pocket.
Now, we're talking about cars. What about lives, human beings? What about health? What about disability?
So when you get a personal loan, car loan, any of the loans, you can get what's called credit life disability also, and that's going to cover any of the incidents. You're sick, so you're off work, you're the breadwinner in your family, and now you can't pay your bills because you're not getting a check. Well, we're going to be able to supplement and help you with your income with credit life disability.
Okay, so the best idea there is to just contact your local NuMark credit union and chat about what the options are and what it is you're trying to achieve.
Definitely.
All righty, since we're talking about money, let's see if we can't get a $25 Visa gift card in your hand if you can answer one of the answers to the question that we came up. Here's the question. In your opinion, what would you say gets you a better deal? A certified pre-owned or a new vehicle straight off the lot? If you were listening, what was the answer to that? If you think you know what that is, call the Turk Furniture Studio line at 815-254-7300, and you can claim your $25 gift card. So let's see who we have here. Hi, WJOL. Who do we have here?
How you doing? A used car.
A used car. What was the other part of the answer?
A new car, a used one.
Yeah. So what you're saying is whatever it is you could afford.
Yes.
That's okay. But that's exactly right. What's your name?
Bruce.
Okay, Bruce. No, you're absolutely right. And the idea was, there's no right answer. The right answer is the one that really fits into your particular budget. So, you're right. Absolutely, Bruce. You're right. So you got that card. I'm going to ask you to hold on here. We're going to get more information so that we can give this to Laurie to bring back to the office to make sure you get your $25 gift card. Where are you calling from, Bruce?
Joliet.
All righty, my friend. I'm going to ask you to hold on. Don't go away, and we'll be with you shortly. Bruce, you got it right. So there you go. Not a bad deal there, huh? Not a bad deal. So to wrap it up right now, Laurie, what would be one of the tips that helped you financially? What would be one of the tips you can share? You started with it in the beginning of the call, but let's go over it once again because this is important, how to deal with finances during a hardship.
One of the tips that I would say would be the most important thing would be not to overextend yourself. Live within your means. And I think that when you're doing that, everything else is going to fall into place. So if you make $2,000, don't spend $5,000.
And I know that sounds so rudimentary, but it needs to be reinforced because the temptation, a lot of impulse purchases could cause people to get into trouble.
Well, I think what we're seeing now is a lot more people are maybe getting personal loans to pay off all of those high interest rate loans that they have, because we live off credit cards. And so if we can help with that, then we're here to help.
There we go. How do we get in touch with you, Laurie?
You're going to come over to one of our local offices. We've got 9 offices throughout the Chicagoland area in the suburbs. And come on to one of them. I'm out of the office right here in Crest Hill.
Very good. Laurie, thank you so very much for being here. Laurie Veasy. We hope you helped out a little bit by handling financial hardships.